What's going on, everybody? I'm Patrick from POWLAX, and this video is an excerpt from the two-man game video, and in this section we're talking about the mentality and decision making of a ball carrier within two-man games. Before we get started, make sure to check out patreon.com/POWLAX, where you can download and print the playbook PDF that accompanies this and over 50 other POWLAX videos by becoming a patron and supporting this channel. The goal for this channel is to put out free, in-depth lacrosse coaching content for coaches and players to access anytime, anywhere. Now, when it comes to the ball carrier, the options that he's going to have are going to be vastly different from the off-ball player because he has the ball and he has the responsibility of taking care of that ball and evaluating exactly what is going to happen. And so because of that, when we see our decision chart, first, as he catches the ball, he's going to have to dictate his matchup and then evaluate what's going to happen. And at any time during this two-man game, he is going to have the options of dodging to beat his man, because if he overplays him, that's what he should do, as well as stepping away to feed, or stepping away to redodge, or completely stepping away to reevaluate and then reinitiate the two-man game. Now, if he does utilize the two-man game by either dodging and not picking, where we'll see our shallow cut and our overlap, or dodging into a pick where then he's going to have to, come off of it hard, he's always going to have those always options ready. So those are what we're going to cover first. So as M2 catches the ball, he is going to have to dictate his matchup. And so we're just going to have A2 kind of cut to the middle here, and he's going to be prepping what he is going to do. So the first option that M2 always has is to dodge to get to the middle of the field. So if he dodges and he's trying to turn the corner, that is what he should absolutely do if DM1 is out of position. Notice that as this player catches the ball on the wing, we can see that a player is coming to him for a two-man game. Even though that two-man game is coming, he doesn't have to sit there and wait for it, and as you see here, he just initiates his dodge because he feels he has the advantage and he's playing quickly. Now, while he's on this dodge, he will always have the option to step away, get his hands free, and possibly feed A2. And this is something that when you watch players like Chase Scanlon and some of these box players, is that Coach Monroe calls it the double threat position, where he's actually kind of just walking in, but you see that their sticks are up. And that's the coolest thing, is because so many kids think that you got to cradle here and do all this, when really if you just have your stick by your head and you're kind of like taunting your guy, you can still get rid of that pass really, really quickly. Being responsible for passing the ball when you have the ball isn't much of a revelation, but the ability to pass the ball at any time is. Just because a player has the option to throw a pass doesn't mean they're absolutely capable. Here we're going to watch two clips of Chase Scanlon. The first is a shot and the second is a quick pass that are going to illustrate this point. Notice how as he catches the ball on the wing and begins his dodge, his stick is still up near his shoulder. Now as he releases this shot, there was nothing that said that he was going to be able to shoot in that spot, like most kids have to wind up. In this clip, as he's carrying behind, notice how quickly his stick comes up to near his shoulder and the ball is out of his stick. Now he also has the option of stepping away to redodge or to just completely pull the ball out and then reinitiate this two-man game. In our first example, these two players are in a dodge and mirror type of scenario. Now, notice as this player takes his first dodge, he sweeps across the top, rolls back, and once he gets to the wing, he pulls his man out again and reattacks the short stick matchup, going underneath first this time and then sweeping over the top. In this next clip, notice that the ball carrier is the one who makes the decision. If the first pick doesn't work well, he can pull the ball back out, reset the pick, and then go at it again. When you're considering who you want to be the player who is carrying the ball, I really recommend that you don't evaluate that so much, because unless you're in a very competitive tournament, like you're in a high school, team or something where, if you're in a competitive environment, evaluate who has the ball. But if you're not, definitely give players the option to be that player who has to make those decisions, because it's really going to help them learn the game by being forced to evaluate those decisions. Now, if M1 decides that he's going to dodge down the alley towards the player he's going to be utilizing this two-man game with, we can clearly get our non-pick two-man games, which is our shallow cut and our overlap. And if that does happen, we're going to want him to use specific skills. So if A2 overlaps, we're going to want him to use a flip or a fake flip and then try to get underneath, or, he's going to want to use that skill. As ball carriers move into an overlap situation where they're going to throw their flip or fake flip, their attention should be on the overlap player's defenseman. If that defenseman is occupied with the player overlapping, they can throw the fake. If that player looks like they're going to slide or double, then they should throw the flip. In our first clip, this player does a great job of recognizing that the defense's attention is on the overlapping player. He throws a fake flip, which sells the defense and allows him to get in for a great shot and goal. In this clip, the ball carrier sees that the defenseman of the overlapping player is going to come to him, and therefore he flips the ball, and then he actually clips the new ball carrier's defenseman on the way, which helps create space for a great feed inside. Then if A2 does get underneath with his shallow cut, we're going to want him to use a look back fake to try to manipulate D2 into sliding versus staying with A2, because that can then open up his lane. Notice that as this player carries over the shallow cut, he looks back towards the player who shallow cut, which keeps his defenseman there, which gives him the space to get inside, shoot, and score. Watch how as this player steps away, looks back towards the player who shallow cut underneath him, the other player's defenseman gets back across the face of goal, which allows him to re-dodge upfield, turn the corner, and score. Now, if M2 decides that he is going to actively use the pick, he can do it in a variety of different ways. Now, what we want to make sure he understands is that his responsibility, if he's going to use the pick, is to drive his defenseman off of the pick. And so he can use a single move, he can use a double move, or if the defenseman starts to think that he's going to use the pick, he can then refuse the pick. So if A2 in this example, so these are all separate examples, if A2 is coming to set this pick and D2 comes with him, M2 can use his usual dodge and he can come off of this pick hard and drive him, and that would be our single move. Now, one of the really cool tips for ball carriers as they're coming off of picks is to use a rocker, because the hesitation that the defenseman will have to use right before he gets to this pick, if he does a rocker right here, when the defenseman hesitates, it's going to be easier for A2 to position himself where he can then set the pick. And so then as he comes off of it, we're most likely going to get this 2-on-1 advantage that we want. Watch how just before this player comes off the pick set at X, he uses a slight little hesitation that makes the defensive player slow up. This will help pickers set better picks, even though the defenseman got through relatively easily here. He can also use a double move. So as A1 is coming to set this pick for M3, and D1 follows him, M3 can also use a double move where he, say, comes down the alley and then rolls back over a pick. And the cool thing about this is that as he uses this double move, A1 actually doesn't have to position himself very differently. So he's already here to set this up pick, and because M3 maybe comes too far wide and then rolls back, he can basically just turn and set the pick like that. So these double moves will work very well and are really used a lot in this bottom right and bottom left hand corners. So as the M2 comes off of it, now he has used this double move to then create this same 2-on-1 where now he's rolling this way and the ball carrier is kind of coming off to the middle of the field. If a ball carrier is getting pushed over a pick or doesn't drive his man into the pick well enough and ends up outside, he has the option to use his double move and roll back over the pick in the other direction. In our first clip, this player splits to his right before rolling back over the pick and drawing the switch. In this next clip, this player drops the ball but then heads to his left hard before rolling back over the top of the pick. And then the final thing we have is a refuse pick, which we're going to show at X. So as M1 comes to set this pick, and here we do have two poles, if the LSM is communicating like he should be and saying, hey, pick coming to your right, pick coming to your right, if D3 gets caught up kind of trying to move around this pick that M1 is coming to set, then A3 can just refuse the pick and then try to turn the corner and score. In our first clip, this player has the short stick matchup and he brings him towards the pick. As he's moving towards the pick and gets close enough, he makes a hard jab step towards the pick before refusing, getting upfield above GLE and getting a good shot off. In our next clip, this player comes to set a swing pick on this defenseman. As the pick gets into position, the ball carrier jabs to his right before refusing up to the left and throws a nice feed inside. Now, whether the ball carrier uses a single move, a double move, or refuses the pick, his objective is to get perpendicular to the dangerous space, to get inside, to try and draw a slide or turn the corner and score. And so once the pick is done, here are his always options like we covered a little bit ago. We're going to use this option to basically go through it. So his first option is to turn the corner, get to the middle of the field, and score. And if D2 doesn't switch, that's where he's going to see it. His next option is always to step away and then feed, whether it is the player who set the pick or an off-ball player. His objective, he can always step away and move the ball. And this is one that you always want to make sure they understand to just keep the flow of the offense going. And finally, he has the option to step away, reset the two-man, redodge, or reinitiate a two-man game or re-pick. So as our ball carrier gets done with his two-man game, his job is to push towards the goal. Whether he creates a distinct advantage from the pick or not is not the concern. The bottom line is that he must dodge to the goal and try to score. Our first three examples are going to be of players who didn't really generate much as they came off the pick, but continued to dodge to the goal and ended up scoring. In our first clip, this player's defenseman gets through the pick, and as he hits the left side alley, he rolls back over the top, shoots, and scores. This player does a great job of running his man off of the pick, draws the switch with the pole, and then once he's at the island, he just rolls back, turns the corner, and scores. In this clip, this player uses a subtle move topside before rolling back towards X. Once he comes off the pick, his defenseman gets right through, he gets to X, rolls back, uses a nice little rocker at GLE, turns the corner underneath the other player's defenseman, gets into the middle of the field, and scores. If you can't get in and score by yourself, draw a slide, move it to your teammates, and let them do the work. In these next three clips, we're going to show players who drew slides, moved the ball, and were the catalysts in their team scoring these goals. This first clip is one of my favorites because it's almost a three-man, two-man game, with this player setting the pick and another player mirroring behind him, so that as the ball carrier carries off of the pick, he draws the switch and the player from the mirror, passes to the player from the mirror, who steps in, shoots, and scores. In this next clip, this player carries off of an up pick, he draws a slide, moves the ball forward, and the team passes into the rotation of the defense, finds an open player, and scores. In this clip, we get a subtle two-man game top right. The ball is then moved immediately to another mirrored two-man game with a big dodge down the left side alley. He draws a slide, passes forward, and the team ends up finding an open man and scoring. Thanks for taking the time to watch this entire video. I really appreciate it. Definitely let me know what you guys thought down in the comments section, especially if there was something that I missed or something that you really enjoyed. Also, if there's something that was in this video that you think someone else would benefit from, make sure to share that with them, whether that's Facebook or through text messages. Also, if you really enjoyed this video and you want to see it printed out, you can download the playbook PDF at patreon.com/POWLAX by clicking the eye up here in the corner, and then one of the links that has the PDF icon on it. You can get that PDF by becoming a patron on patreon.com/POWLAX. And what that basically is you pay $5 a month, you get access to this PDF and all of the others, and you're basically helping to contribute to the creation of all of these free videos on YouTube, as well as all the stuff that I'm going to be doing in the future. So I really appreciate you if you do that, as well as all the other patrons who have supported me over the last, I think, year and a half. Finally, make sure to follow POWLAX and POWLAX Master Coach on Facebook and Instagram. If you are there on Facebook and Instagram or on YouTube, I'll be doing the live streams on Wednesdays. If you have any questions or topics that you would like me to address in those live streams, you can write those down in the comment section, or you can hit me up on Facebook and Instagram as well. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Have a good one. I will see you in the next video.